Are the cameras already rolling? I'm asking for introduction purposes.
They are.
Okay, well then I'm Shari.
I'm Rachel.
And this is So Tell Me This.
This is not a drill, this is how I feel. Pop champagne, I'ma do it for the thrill. Escape with me, I'm saying it maybe. We could take off and then land on a jet ski. Baby, I'll hold it tight. Top shelf with it.
I'm going to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you how I stumbled upon it. The foundation is this girl's parents are kicking her out in 5 months. She has 5 months to find a new place to live because she doesn't want to pursue pharmacy. She's supposed to be becoming a pharmacist. She got her certification. So when it first came on my For You page, she starts telling the story. I went to the comments. Wrong choice. Don't go to the comments first because it can really skew your perception, I feel. This is true. 1,000%.
This is true.
So I'm reading them and people were like, oh, so she quit pharmacy to become... Get that straight before we continue.
Hold on.
See.
I didn't do nothing wrong.
I'm like...
You know what?
I don't know why it started doing
Y'all
that.
are not going to perceive me as the
I'm just trying to make sure sound is right. See, it looked like obstacle course you're getting over
This
here.
is wobbly. It got like a broke arm.
Yeah.
Broke leg.
So shouldn't have read the comments first, but it's fine. We'll get there. They were saying, oh, so it sounds like she quit pharmacy to become a content creator and she only has like 2,000 followers. So I'm reading it and I'm like, if that's what she did, like that's insane. That's crazy. I didn't get to finish watching the video. I had something to do, but I said, let me go back. Judging from the video and based off her comments, what I've gathered is she, by her, I think, second to last year of pharmacy school or last year of school for pharmacy, she figured out like she didn't want to be a pharmacist. She wanted to do it at first.
Okay.
Also, her parents paid the whole way through.
Right.
Also, she never said she wanted to be a content creator. She had just mentioned something about she might start to take it seriously, but she also said she still may apply for pharmacy jobs here and there, but she does not want to ultimately become a pharmacist. But somebody had asked her a question like, well, then what's your parents' problem or something like that? And she was like, they will not support anything I do if it's not pharmacy. Yes. So it's not even a thing of like, because first when I was reading the comments, I was like, oh, girl, like if you want to quit to become a content creator, you only have 2,000 followers, like get the pharmacy job while you work on that, like do it at the same time. But that's actually not what she was giving. She's like, I'm still going to apply for other jobs too. She's like, I'm applying for other stuff too. I may apply for a pharmacy job here and there, but I don't want to do pharmacy forever. But her parents, it doesn't matter what she does. If it's not pharmacy, like they like.
So let me get some clarity though.
Okay.
Because she's not quite finished with pharmacy school.
No, she finished it. She has her certification.
Did finish it.
So that's why they're mad. And here's my thing. I'm like,
so what is it that they still have to pay for? Oh, she had some loans or what have you.
They paid for it all.
Right.
She has her certification. They're now mad that she's like, I'm not going to become a pharmacist.
Okay.
I'm not going to be a pharmacist, and they're kicking her out because of it.
Oh.
Yes, and I'm just kind of like, because it's like, right? Isn't it just kind of like,
Okay, so
okay.
What is it that you were going to ask me about it?
Because
like, that's heavy.
Here's my 20,000 perspectives. I feel like I have a lot of perspectives on it. Mm-hmm. I can understand a frustration for when you've paid for something.
Yes.
And it doesn't turn out the way you thought. Mm-hmm. But it's like we all make investments in stuff that don't turn out how we think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't really control like when you invest in something and you see it through and it just doesn't go the way you thought. Like that just kind of happens.
Right.
And then at the same time, I'm like, what would y'all want her to do? You know what I mean? If she's like, I hate pharmacy, because a lot of people were like, well, why didn't you tell them? And she's like, in all honesty, I'm in the last year of my school, like, and I'm telling them, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. They paid for it. I can understand her like hesitation and not wanting to say
Here's
it.
my question though, like, so they are putting her out. She has 5 months to get out because she decided.
Because she's like, I'm not going to be a pharmacist. Yeah. Because what they wanted her to do, they were giving her people to talk to. They were like, talk to this person, talk to that person. And this is how you can get this job and that job. And she's like, I don't want to do any of that because I'm not going to. Like she said, she may look at pharmacy jobs here and there, but she's not taking that seriously because she is not planning on doing it.
Let me say this. It's like we need a moment of silence for the parents because it is hard.
They're grieving their...
They're grieving and they paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
For, pharmacy school is not cheap, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
so I totally
part.
understand it's that child's life, but I do understand the attachment that they have. Like, okay, we're on this journey with you.
Yeah.
You want to do pharmacy school? We're going to support you. We got you. And I'm big on finish what you start, being a completer. So you did say that she finished. However, the other part of me, I'm big on what are you passionate about? And unfortunately, sometimes you don't figure it out until after you've gone through something.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of can understand this to a certain degree. My mom didn't pay for schooling, but the whole time she thought, like, I was like, I'm going to go to medical school. I'm going to become a doctor.
Yeah.
By the time I finished my degree, I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm not quite ready to go to medical school. Looked into other things, became a teacher. You know, I'm wondering, like, had I been with my mom, would she had said, no, you can't live
and
here?
You know
because
me, I'm not even like doing it. Like, I'm
any
not,
of that.
You know what I mean?
So yes, I understand that they're upset and frustrated because they paid, they really invested. They invested and they did not get a return on their investment.
Yes.
So I do feel like their feelings are valid as to their investment. Oh my gosh, you just changed the investment.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm struggling with is that I'm kicking you out. You have 5 months.
Okay, right? Because for a second I tried to, and I don't even like to play devil's advocate. Okay, I don't like that, but I did it for myself because I said, okay, maybe it's their right, but then I said, I don't know, mom would not do that. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
I wouldn't do it simply because first of all, we would have a huge conversation about what's next.
A huge conversation.
Because we just invested, how long is pharmacy school? 3 years, 4 years? After
like
your undergraduate degree? That's a long time. So what we not going to do is play bingo with my money.
Okay, like, I'm about to say, yeah.
This time we're going to invest.
Right.
In this.
Like,
first of all, if you change it up, you're going to have to pay for it. That would have been the conversation. Shari, I got it. You don't want to be a pharmacist anymore.
My money can't be involved if you're hopping around.
Let me
tell you what, when I heard her say that, I'm like, no, this is what mom would have done. You would have said, you're not doing pharmacy. Give me a time frame. By next month, you need to have a detailed plan. Everything.
That's exactly
what do you
what I would need to
because
see.
if we've been on one
I
plan,
would need to see the plan because if you are shifting gears like that, and that's pretty major. Like I'm not one to down content creation, obviously, right? But at the same time, you can't just go into this willy-nilly. It takes, once again, a lot of hard work and time. In the meantime, how you eating?
Right. But I think that's kind of
how
where
you paying your bills.
Right. That's low-key kind of where the internet just kind of like takes it to another degree. Because even I watch so many of her videos to make sure, but also after she posted that, she started posting a lot of like content, like day in the life content. So it almost kind of gave that she wanted to. But I feel like sometimes the internet takes things to the nth degree because she actually never said that. Like I made sure I said, let me watch so many of her videos so I don't misquote her, so I don't get her stuff wrong.
So she's never said what else she wanted to do? Like she happened to mention?
Not really. She mentioned it in passing. When I tell you very much in passing, like she's talking about it, she was like, I don't know, maybe I'll see about taking this a little bit more serious, but it gave more so on the side. And she even clarified later, she's like, that's more so on the side. Like I'm doing other stuff, but the comments start a narrative and people start to see those comments and then people start to just
Have you ever thought that maybe also the parents are concerned about like, we have been supporting you pretty much academically. I don't know if she lived, if they had an on-campus thing or she lived with them. Now we're going to still be taking care of you. After all this money that we've just poured out.
Yeah.
And who knows if they even trust that she's going to, because she said she's going to find a job.
Yeah, she
pharmacy.
said she's going to just be looking for jobs in general. She even in one of her videos, she was like, I just got finished like updating my resume. Like I'm not, just not doing anything. But then I'm telling you, I was doing my research because I said, let me make sure I know what's really going on. I went scroll to the bottom of the comment section and somebody asked her, I forgot what the question was. I wish I could remember, but she was like, they don't support anything I do if it's not pharmacy. Like basically, if it's not pharmacy,
you know what?
They're not with it. And I'm like, that's a little extreme.
It is. And I will say this, there are a lot of parents. I meet them on a regular. If their child doesn't go to said school or do said thing, they are not going to support them and they're not going to pay for it. I think it's an awful thing to do.
I think so
and
too.
I'm not judging them. I just think it's awful because, and that's why I was always so big on what is your passion? Like, what are you passionate about? Because the thing that you are passionate about, when you do it, it doesn't feel like work. It is something that you love doing. You're going to get more joy out of it. You're going to have a better quality of life. Then you force them to do something. They're doing it. Plenty of people think that money is the answer to everything. There are plenty of people who make a lot of money and they're still not happy. I'm a lawyer. I have all these degrees and I am absolutely miserable. So once as a parent, if I was a parent, once I get over the fact that, I just paid all this money.
Have your moment.
And
like,
don't let it be, I took out loans for you.
Oh my gosh, I would throw up.
Because guess what? It'd be like, okay, I understand. Here are your loans.
I was going to say, yeah.
Go ahead and put some.
Actually, you're paying for it.
You going to put some on this.
Yeah. Actually, you're putting everything on it.
There we go.
And I'm actually,
and after a while, I probably would still help. I don't know. But initially, I would be like, this is tough. But then after that, I would want to just honor like what they really want. Because let's be totally honest. Who figures it all out on a one and doneer?
And that's my thing too. And that's why when I saw her comment that said they don't support it unless it's pharmacy, and I'm like, but I feel like that's not realistic because things just like change.
Things change.
And people change. And she also was saying they don't really relate to like how the jobscape is now, how a lot of people don't even have traditional jobs, how a lot of people don't even, I feel like a while ago, it was very common. You work at a company, you work at a school, you work wherever, and you work there until you retire. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like the mindset, I guess she was saying that they have.
Right.
And they don't see it any other way. Right. But I feel like now, because what they say we live in like a gig economy or something like that. The jobscape is very different. Like,
and really, like people, I've been digging into this generational stuff and just figuring out how Gen Alpha is slated to be like the smartest generation we've had.
Are they really? Because I'm scared of them.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, sometimes we focus on the fact that some of them can't read, some of them can't this, some of that. But like, there are a lot of them that like, they are so creative. They're so out of the box. And they're slated to really do some amazing things that we've never seen before.
I hope so, because there are future leaders. We need them to be right.
But here's what I find, and especially I work with, some Gen X colleagues. Some of them are millennials. But I just find that a lot of times the issues that they have is out of ignorance. Like, they just don't know what they don't know. Yeah. When I tell them, like, it happens to come up that my daughter's a digital creator. You have a few who are just happy you have the degree. Like, oh, okay, at least she went to college.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they don't realize that, oh my gosh, like this is the trend. Like being on social media, and especially when you start getting brand deals, you are the commercial. Like you are the one that the brand is looking for.
This is advertisements.
This is advertisement.
This is advertising.
And you have people, everyday people that are getting paid significantly because they are advertising, and their advertising is much more impactful because the people who are looking at you are the people who support you and tend to believe what you say. So if she said this, Drizzleicious, is that what it's called?
Drizzleish. It is Drizzleicious, but I like
good,
Drizzleish.
then I'm going to buy it.
Drizzleicious is
That's
good,
powerful. That's impactful. And I find that once you start putting the dollar signs out there and showing them like, this is what it can look like, even if she doesn't continue to do social media, even if he doesn't continue to do it, he can take this, invest, buy a house, all kinds of things. Yeah. There is more than one route. And I've said this before in another podcast. I don't personally believe, even though I'm a college educated person, 3 degrees, I don't believe that college is for everyone. Newsflash, that is my personal opinion. Hate it, love it, indifferent about it. Because I have seen way too many people walk in their gift without a college degree and be super, super impactful.
Right.
And they are happy at what they do.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I would rather my child be in a place where they are a good citizen, they're happy, they're making a difference.
Yeah.
As opposed to, well, I wanted you to be a pharmacist because or it's legacy.
Yeah, like, well, they wanted me to be a pharmacist, so I just like did it because I'm very much of the mindset like you're the only one who has to live your life. You're the only one.
That's
it's just you who has to live your life.
And by the time you've graduated high school, like you're an adult. Like, don't get me wrong, you still don't have it all figured out at 18. Yeah. Just because you turn 18 doesn't mean, the skies have opened up and I have complete knowledge of all things being adult. Yeah. No, there's still a lot to learn. But at what point are you going to start to help usher them into that if you're still making all the decisions? Yeah. They're changing their mind. Yeah. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
Because I can tell you right now,
I'd be upset. Like,
and I totally get it. But after watching all her videos and pondering on it, I was like, actually, I'm proud of her. Like, all her comment sections are full of people who are irritated at her and if you were my daughter and da-da-da-da. But I'm like, I feel like that's all the noise based off of what they thought she said. Based off of what she actually said, like, I didn't say I wanted to quit this for content creating with having no following. I am going to still be applying for jobs. What I'm hearing is she just is like making a shift. And I'm like, period. There are people who are like 3 times your age and never did a single thing they wanted. Like, I'm sorry. Like, what do we, and I understand people have this idea of security with things. Like when people do social media, when people do other jobs that may not be as secure, they're like, well, what are you going to do if this happens? And what are you going to do if it all ends? And I'm like, the sun is going to still be in the sky the next day. And cause it's just like, what? I don't understand. I don't resonate with that.
I think it's just a mentality.
It's like I would switch gears and I would do something else.
You know, it's a mentality because, you know, in the past it was whether it be you go to school, you get this job, or let's say you get a good job at General Motors or a big company and you stay there, you get your pension and then you retire.
Yeah.
People are not used to
that doesn't happen that much anymore. People change jobs a lot, which I feel is fine. I'm like, if it's a thing of like, this place isn't good for me, I need to like be somewhere else. Or even if you just feel like whatever is working for somebody, you know what I mean? Like I don't look at that person and say like, oh, well, you should have just stuck to such and such if you were so unhappy.
Everybody's journey is different. And it really makes me think about, it brings me really to you. And like, I don't even think we've talked about this before when we were just talking about what you... Well, no, you didn't even talk about that in the other podcast.
Yeah.
No, but I wasn't even going to say that. Here's the issue sometimes. Let's be totally honest. When people have dreams that other people feel are unreachable.
Yes.
That is when they project
1,000%
your destiny on you.
1,000%. Because I had somebody do that with me.
Yeah, and you had somebody do that with
and
you.
I won't say
because
anything.
with you, when you were doing TikTok, I was the one encouraging you.
Yeah.
I'm like, Shari, people need to see you eat. Like,
you really started it, like
dancing.
From the ground up. Like you really started it.
Yeah, I'm like, you're very interesting. And yeah, you had gone to college, but I wasn't even thinking about that. I was like, you could actually do this. At this point, you have how many followers? Like, you weren't even on TikTok.
We
initially.
ain't counting right now.
You were on just YouTube.
Yeah,
and you were like, you know what? Since it's TikTok, they're so supportive. Let me go to TikTok.
Yeah,
so that they could support me. Like at that point, I could have been upset that like, wow, she really wants to do this. I took out loans for her school.
Right.
And this and that.
You could have.
I didn't
never
do that.
gave that ever. You encouraged
like,
me a lot.
She could actually do this. And yes, is it a risk? Of course it is. But you also understood, because at that time you were living with us. And I was like, you still got to work.
Oh yeah, I was looking for a job.
You were looking for a job
before I moved in. Yeah. I was looking for a job.
You weren't paying us because you weren't at the point where you could. But I'm like, okay, work. When you want to do this type of job, you got to have your other hustle, as I mentioned before.
And did.
But I think it's just important to note that like we have to be careful about, yes, you want to give sound advice to your children. You don't want them to, let's be honest, we hate to see our kids fail. Like that is the worst thing ever. Is when you have to watch it, but it's part of their process. Yeah. And you can't intervene. But
it's a candid event. You can't interfere.
Right. But at the end of the day, I just believed that you could do it. And when I saw the numbers climb, and people would even ask me, like kind of looking at me like, oh, you support this? Not only do I support it, I'm managing
Yes,
her.
but no, back to what you had said before. It's because people have limiting beliefs. Like, and it's really, you can, and I know this because I'm people sometimes. Yeah. So it's like,
we all have, you know, those things.
It's almost like be careful who you talk to because they're going to say stuff based on what they think is possible or not possible. And a lot of people think that certain stuff is just not possible. It doesn't sound realistic. And it's like, well, if nobody ever did anything, then nothing just would ever happen.
That's right. It's so deep that you just said that because what just popped in my head was, you can't share your dream with everybody.
You literally can't.
So, and I have to even be mindful of that because I'm the type of person, like when I'm going through something that's great. It's like, guess what's going on? And this is what I want to do.
You're like a sharer. Like I'm going to
share. I'm going to talk about it. And sometimes you glean things from other people. They have other perspectives you didn't think about. But sometimes you'll share with people and be like, why do you want to do that? Like, so when do you retire? Like,
and it's like, ooh, don't talk to you.
Don't you retire? You want your retirement money and this, like, and I'm not saying that I only want to talk to yes people, but at the same time, you just can't trust everybody with your dream. And I just believe that you have to protect some things and keep it close to your chest because people would, and some people don't want other people to do well. I hate to say it. Sometimes they're sitting back envious. Like,
yeah. Also, people are too afraid to like be embarrassed or be cringe, which is something I'm taking issue with a lot, especially with like my generation, because it's becoming so not fun. It's like the girls don't want to laugh anymore. Like it's like the biggest sin is to be cringe. I'm like, there are just worse things in life.
Right.
Like at a certain point, I probably when I was first posting on YouTube and I was acting like it was just the most serious thing and I was on top of it and nobody was watching. It was for the love of the game at that point.
Right.
And people probably thought that was cringe and look where it is now. But it's like you have to be able to be comfortable like being that. But people don't want to be embarrassed. People don't want to like feel a certain way. People don't want to feel weird.
Without a doubt. And people are avoiding the cringe and you are holding back your success.
You literally got to be cringe first.
I will never forget this. And I think it was Eric that said this. For those of you who don't know, Eric Thomas, top motivational speaker in the world. But he was just like, don't overthink your post. Just post.
Yeah.
Just post. Whether it's 5 people that, like it or viewed it or 5,000 people. And when you're thinking like on a bigger level, it's about, somebody could see you and they needed to hear that message, see that message. And you start to get in your head for the very reason you said, like, suppose I post it and I don't get not one single view.
And it's like, and what if you do? Like, I be want to say that and it's like, what if you do? Tell me exactly what's going to happen.
And then you start to dial it back. But I truly believe like part of success is some failures. But the issue I think we have is we attach ourselves to the failure.
Oh, because I know, because I do that.
Yeah, I think we all do that. Like, I'm not speaking.
I'm actually the worst.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not speaking to just everybody else. It's myself. It's like, I failed at something, so I'm a failure.
Yeah.
No, that failure is for you to go back and say, as educators, we always like, let's reflect. What could I have done? Because I love to reflect. That's something that's a muscle I had to exercise. Like, after some people don't want to reflect because then that could hurt too much because then that means I did something wrong. God forbid, as a human being, you do something wrong. I would tell you that, like, you are human.
Yeah, you are prone Shari, to err. God forbid. Oh, like, you did something wrong.
You did something wrong. Welcome to the human race.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We all are going to do something wrong, but I think what's important is give people grace and space to do stuff wrong.
People don't there is no grace.
There is
grace
no grace.
Is dead.
People just don't want to get, and I'm not talking about people out there doing egregious things. I'm just talking about just regular everyday stuff. Sometimes everybody will tear you apart. I think about something I would always ask my students, like, if you had to choose passion or money, which do you choose? And of course they would raise their hand. I always had a group that said money. And ironically, a lot of them would say passion. And before
I don't know why I thought it was the other way around.
A lot of them would actually say passion.
Okay,
it would either be half and half or just a little bit more for passion than money.
Really? I don't know why I thought the reverse.
I would let them kind of.
I'll try passion.
Now, don't get me wrong. They all want the money.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know if it's because I was at a performing arts school, because a lot of them were, whether it be they sing, they dance, they what have you. But I would have them then justify, like, why'd you choose money? Why'd you choose? And then, somebody be like, money buy you happiness. Money makes the world go around. All the things that you hear. And I'm like, the people on the passion side, they're like, listen, I say go for your passion, because if you're good at it, you'll make that money.
Yeah.
And I think that to this day, I'm not mad at people who make money and do well at what they do. But can you imagine the quality of your life if you're making a lot of money, but at the end of the day, you're just not pleased with yourself? And to me, when you don't please yourself, oh my gosh, you don't honor yourself. And when you don't honor yourself,
it's like a betrayal, I feel.
You start to feel shame.
Yeah.
And that's on every level. That's not just what I'm talking about as far as your career or the thing that you're passionate about. I'm talking about on every single level. The minute you start to like not honor the way you move, whatever you stand for, even not speaking up. Like in my case, like I said, I was bullied in 7th grade and I was mad that I didn't speak up for myself. And as an adult, whenever I'm in a situation, if I happen to not speak for myself and I walk away from that, it bothers me. Conflict is a natural part of life.
Right. And
As a
it's
matter
like
of
you
fact,
can't avoid it.
What's important about conflict is learning the rules of engagement in conflict. So it's not like avoid it, but address it, because when you don't address it, it just gets worse.
Yeah.
Either it gets worse, the other person's happy because, you know, you're not addressing the conflict, they're getting what they want, but inside it's killing you.
Yeah. You're denying both of you guys an opportunity to grow. Like my therapist always says.
Yes, I love that. You're denying an opportunity for both of you to grow.
Literally for both of y'all. Like there's a lot that could come out of like solving this, talking about it. Like it could be 1000% better.
For sure.
When you don't.
For sure.
Like,
but it's hard because, especially when things seem like everything is fine. That's the biggie. Like everything is fine. It's like, ooh.
And you're like, am I really going to disrupt everything? Am I going to ruin everything?
Like, you know, it's like the scratch record.
I absolutely have.
But I do think there's a thing to timing too. Like, it's not always the best time to bring things up. Although it'd be like, ooh,
I know what you mean.
I'm going to say this when they get home. And it's like, it may not be the best time.
I like to be considerate of people's mood. Like, I like to be considerate of the vibe. Like, whatever's going on. Like, I'm not gonna mess up everybody's, like, pull everybody into something, mess up everybody's vibe. Like, it may be a thing of like, Shari, don't like remember this, like talk to this person later or say this thing later, because I like to be considerate of what else is going on.
Yeah, because sometimes
we don't exist in a vacuum. Like, things are going on.
Sometimes you feel like you want to address it. Like, I gotta address it now so they know. But it's like, unless it's something that is time sensitive, you really can table it. And sometimes I've now appreciated tabling it, because if I'm less mad,
people have got to table.
Then it's less emotion.
Yes,
and more like facts. Like, this is what happened. This is how it made me feel. And I would appreciate in the future if you don't XYZ.
People need to table way more. They have got to
there
table.
Needs to be more tabling?
Yes, 1000%. Because even as I've gotten older, I feel like when I was younger, I was more passive aggressive, one. But when I would finally say something, it's like my reaction, I just realized that if I maybe had talked about it later, my reaction would have been way different. My approach probably would have been like way different. And it's like, if you just table it for a second and give yourself a second, you will feel completely different. Like, even now when I'm like, it could be just me and I'm getting frustrated about something I have going on. I'm not even dealing with another person in conflict. It's just me.
Right.
And I'm like, actually table this little thought you have going on, come back to it later, feeling 1000% different. Like, everything is not meant for you to dive into it in the moment.
This is true.
Like,
I will say this though. Here's the other side of it. Because you said you're passive aggressive. So was I. I'm a recovering passive aggressive
me too, a little
person.
bit. I still got it a little bit.
Yeah,
but
you still tainted a little bit.
Recovering a little bit.
Recovering a little bit. But like, you know, I talk about DISC. You know, I train on DISC. The DISC assessment is a human personality assessment. And when I was getting the assessment, one of the things that the analyst was telling me was, you know, because I was saying how I don't like to deal with conflict all the time. Don't get me wrong. In my workspace, something comes up. I don't like it, but I'm going to deal with it because I don't like things to simmer and carry over. But in my, you know, more intimate circles, I would tend to, like, if I could find a way for the conflict to not happen, I would try to avoid it. And so one of the things he said is, you got to put a time limit on it. Like, if you don't want to talk about something, don't just say like, I don't want to talk about it. And he says, give it 24 hours. Say, I'll get back to you like in 24 hours. It sounds really official and kind of corny, but do you know what? It has really helped me check myself. Yeah. Like, because at the end of the day, let's say you're having a conversation with somebody, right? And they are ticked off, like they want to talk about it, but you know you're not in the headspace to talk about it right now, or you don't have the answers, or you need to process. I'm a processor too. I don't get me wrong. I can be good, you know.
You're very good on the spot.
I'm good on the spot.
You're very good in the moment.
But there are some things I need to process. So it's unfair to just be like, I don't want to talk about it right now. And there's a period at the end of that sentence. It needs to be, I don't want to talk about it right now, ... But give me till this evening, or give me till tomorrow at this time, or give me some I'll get back to you. Because now you've honored that person need to address the situation, and you've honored yourself by not just speaking. Because sometimes if I end up saying, if you really want me to talk right now, it's about to be ugly.
Also, sometimes I don't want to talk about it without any kind of plans to talk about it again, it can feel a little bit manipulative to me.
What?
It can feel when people do just like, I don't want to talk about it. And it's like, ever? Like this can we can never discuss this. Sometimes it can feel a little manipulative, a little bit toxic, because it's like, how do you get to decide what we get to and don't get to talk about? And it's like, I'll often see people do it when like they might be in the wrong or they may be like the aggressor.
Right.
And they flip it. And I'm seeing it a lot these days. People love to flip therapy language a lot. And I'm like,
for sure.
And use it to just be an absolute menace.
Yeah.
Like somebody brings up something difficult and they're
This is
like, you're making me feel this. Yes, like this is triggering. I actually don't have the capability to have this conversation right now.
Right.
Da-da-da-da. And it's like, that's a workaround because you actually do have to talk about that eventually.
Right.
And I don't always.
But I think in those cases, like, especially if you're like in relationship with somebody, a brother, a sister, a spouse, a partner, if you see patterns, like to me, that's something where I'd be like, you know what? It seems like almost every single time we have conflict about XYZ, you don't want to talk about it, and then we never talk about it. It happened such and such time. It happened such and such time. It happened such and such time. It sounds weird, but I got to keep putting on my educator hat. In my classes, I always had norms. You know, when I first started teaching, it was rules.
Norms.
But rules sound like something you want to break.
Sometimes changing up just one word will make a difference.
Oh, that's a rule?
Right.
Watch me break it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a norm is, this is how we behave in this space. Like the question is, what do you need in order to thrive in this environment?
Yeah.
Right? What do you need in order to feel respected when we have a disagreement?
Yeah.
And the norms don't need to be a laundry list of things, but it could be 3 to 5 things. All right.
Yeah.
Number 1, we're going to attack the issue, not the person.
Yeah.
That could possibly be something that would be the thing. Number 2, we're not going to interrupt one another as we speak.
Yeah.
Or number 3, whoever brings the issue is the issue that is worked out before we bring something else up. Like those are
some
just
kind of parameter. I love a parameter. I love a protocol.
And what I love about a norm is it becomes a norm if everyone involved agrees with it.
Yeah.
So now when it happens, because when you're in the heat of the moment, you ain't think about no norms. You want to say what you want to say. I don't care about no norms. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's a simple like, remember what we agreed to?
Yes.
Are we gonna abide by those? And I would say that to my students too, because I would have them sign it too, like, and have it posted.
Yeah.
Here's your signature right here.
Yeah.
We all agreed to this. What happened? Then we could speak to
because see,
how do you know when to let go? And you've been down the road so much. I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, but it could be just like a friendship. Like, we've been trying this for a minute.
Charlie, you know that's a pet peeve of mine. Like,
what's that?
When people refuse to let go, of something, like, I guess because I feel like I see it so often, and I almost want to just like ask them, like, tell me how long you're willing to suffer.
Yeah,
like,
but wait, you're right. Like, how much do you have to suffer? But I'm recalling a conversation we had. I don't know if it was the first. Yeah, I'm bringing it back up. I think it was the first podcast we had where if you had a friend that was going through something with her boyfriend, husband, what have you, and it was recurring, and you asked me, like,
I told you that's my pet peeve. Like I said the same thing then. I said the only way I would be okay with still being involved is if it was dangerous for her. And it's like, no, you need more than just like a little bit of advice here and there. Like when my whole stance on when it's irritating for me is when all circumstances are normal, everybody's okay. This is just something you keep like choosing. Okay. Like, you know, this is not
You're
good.
not talking about like when it's a situation of like abuse, it's serious.
Yeah, like if there's danger going on, we're on a different priority. We're in survival mode. We're not in just like, oh, this guy lies to me. This guy doesn't respect me.
So tell me this. Let's say you have this said friend who has been through some stuff. You started to feel like your relationship with this friend was toxic. So you like, I don't want to have anything else to do with you. Like, I'm not mad at you.
If my relationship got toxic with the friend?
Yeah, like you felt like it was moving in a toxic direction, or even like they were behaving in a toxic way, and then you found yourself responding in a certain way. Like, this friendship can no longer be. You go your way and I'm going to go mine, and that is it.
Exactly that.
Let's say that same person is the one that is calling you saying, I'm in an emergency. Here's what's happening.
Well, then I'm there because that's an emergency. Like there are different tiers to things, like different needs that need to be met. If it's like an emergency, like I said, we're in survival mode. So it's not about like, disagreements and our how we are fundamentally is different now and we don't need to be cool. We may not need to be cool, but I do care about your well-being. So that will come first.
Okay, so I'm with you on that. So let's say that happens. You care about their well-being. We don't have to fool with each other, but you're in a crisis, so I'm going to help you out of that crisis, right? Mm-hmm. But because of their toxic nature, they find themselves right back in that same situation.
That's difficult. That's a little bit difficult because I couldn't be on like a cycle.
Okay.
But it would more so have to be like, we may have to just have a different conversation. Like, how can we just set you up with some kind of, not like something to save them, but
another alternative.
There has to be another alternative. There has to be something because I don't want to leave somebody in a dangerous situation, but people are adults. You know what I mean? So it's like, they're going to do whatever they want, but also I'm not going to leave somebody out to, like, something dangerous is happening. I'm not going to leave you out to dry.
Yeah, that would be difficult, especially if you genuinely cared for that person and they are in a crisis and you were the one they called.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Exactly. Like, it's like, especially a woman, it's like, I'm never going to just like leave a woman behind who's in danger, who like needs help regardless of what's happening.
That's one thing about you. That's one thing about you. I can't remember what we were talking about. And you were just like, well, then if I have to lose my life for that, then I will. What were we talking about?
Oh, I was just saying, like, when it comes to justice, like certain causes, like if I have to stand behind it and I have to lose my life behind it, I have to go to jail behind it. If it's something I believe in, well then period. Because that's how strongly I will stand behind it.
It was something random. It had to do...
What was it, Mom? Like,
it had to do with, I forgot where you were driving, and I'm like, Shari, if you see a animal in the road.
Oh yeah, what were
we talking about? If you see an animal,
I swerved. I saw an animal in the road and I swerved. I remember exactly the conversation. You were like, "Well, you can't be swerving." I said, "Well, nobody was around, so it's fine. Like, I wouldn't do that like in traffic." Mm-hmm. I said, "I would never affect anybody else." You said, "Okay, but what if you're by yourself and it's between the animal or your car and a pole?" I said, "Well, my car will be in that pole because I'm not hitting the animal."
Did y'all just hear what she said?
I'm not hitting the animal.
She said,
"Period. I'm not hitting it."
Y'all heard that over there? Amen corner.
I'm not amen corner.
Amen corner.
I'm not hitting the animal. Period. That's not happening.
Lonnie's face said,
I'll wreck my car.
Face said,
yeah. Like, I'm never gonna put anybody else in danger. Like, if I was on a busy highway, I'm not about to cause a 10-car pileup. But if this is just me, I'm not making the option to hit the animal.
And that is so
I'm not
deep,
doing that.
Because that speaks to who you are. Because when you first said it, I was in shock, just like Lonnie was.
I remember you were like upset.
And when you said...
Or you were just like, Shari.
You said, but that's something I would do.
That's something I would do.
And I thought about, like, you hear about those stories awful where there's like a shooting. It was a recent one, relatively recent, where the guy put himself in danger for everybody else. And he had a girlfriend and she was like crying, but she said...
That's who he is.
Like, every single person said... it does not surprise us that he did this because that is who he is. But like in my mind, I'm like, a dog, like, and I love dogs. Just lost my dog, was super hurt about it. But I'm like, we can't get another Shari.
And you had said that at the time, and I remember my response, I was like, I can only be honest with you. And I know what my reaction would be. And my reaction would be to not hit the animal.
Let me tell you something. That thing, like when you said it, it was like,
I know you said Shari.
It's seared in my chest because I'm thinking.
I know.
Because I don't want to just go around running into animals. I hate it. Like when it's something in the road, I'm like, oh, like just the thought of that boom boom, like it's awful for me.
Yeah.
However, like I ain't going to the pole.
I know me. I know how my natural reactions are. Even when animals are in the road now, like my initial, it's not even something I have to think about. My body reacts to it. I'm immediately going around it. I'm braking. I'm stopping. I've done it so many times. Like, so when I was telling you that, I'm like, I know this because I've done it. And
you just haven't hit a pole.
Yeah, there just
And
has
we're
been
not
no
gonna hit
danger.
any poles.
We ain't trying to hit no
That's
pole.
right.
I'm saying
That's right. I just got to pray about that, honey.
But
I
it's
need
like,
you home in one piece.
I have done that. There just hasn't been any danger around me, but I know how I react in those situations, and I stop and I swerve, and the chips will just have to fall where they may when it comes to that, because I'm gonna keep stopping and swerving.
I'm trying to remember what made me bring that up. We were talking about your
like you were talking about like stuff I'm willing to die behind, like stuff I'm willing based on, But if it's not like a dangerous situation and it's just like you said, our relationship became toxic because of something else, it's like you would have to let go of the friendship. And let's say it's a friendship that you valued for a really long time, because I don't like setting boundaries to tiptoe into the territory of being dismissive of stuff, because I feel like there's a fine line. Like,
I agree.
You can set a boundary, but there's more to consider in certain situations. Like, if the friendship had become toxic, but you say like, we've been friends for this amount of years, the friendship has been good for this amount of years, this friendship is salvageable, I value this. I'm even the type of person that's like, you know what? We're friends. Let's go to therapy together. Because right now we can't be in contact. We can't be talking to each other. It's not good.
This friendship is worth saving.
Yes. If it's something worth saving, if we both say like, oh, this isn't good right now, but do we want to be friends in the future? Do we think it's possible? Then like, yes.
Let's say they don't want to go to therapy.
There's nothing I can do at that point. We will have to not be friends. Because it's like, you can't force, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So it's like, to me, the boundary is, in this state that we're in right now, we cannot be friends. But it's like, you could decide.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, because it's not healthy. So it's like, on one hand, I don't believe in like holding on to stuff that's not working. But I think you got to take things case by case. Like, could you make this work in some way? Could you preserve it in some way that doesn't cross the boundary that you set? Like, could you come up with another solution? Like, let's go to therapy to see if we can save it. If the other person says no, the answer is no. That's the end of that.
And you know what? And I appreciate hearing you say that, but it's so hard for people to do that, whether you're a teenager in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, there are people in their 70s and 80s that a long time ago, should have set boundaries, but they stayed in a situation. And it takes a lot of, once again, like being self-aware, understanding, and truly like loving yourself and that person enough.
Yeah.
Because people don't always look at it that way. Like, to me, that is an act of love to say, this is so unhealthy. It's not good for either of us. I would love for us to go get some help. But if you can't, then we're going to have to go our separate ways.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people that struggle to do that because of course, their own insecurities, like the codependency,
and just so many factors, like
there's so
how
many
you were
factors.
raised, what you saw growing up,
what you saw,
there's so many factors to everything that's like, sometimes it just feels like you can't even delve because there's so many reasons for
sometimes
everything.
It's like, I can't even imagine my life, as toxic as this is. I can't even imagine my life without you, because it has become the norm. Like being in a situation where it's dysfunctional, but I know this dysfunction. And so I'm going to choose to stay in this dysfunction. And that really, really is tough. And at the end of the day, and I heard you say the word healthy, it's really about health. Like, people think about health physically, but it's also about that mental and emotional health.
Yeah.
When you make
that
those
also
type of decisions.
will destroy you physically.
What's
that will destroy your mental health. That will destroy you physically too. So it's just kind of like.
And people are under the impression that you can talk your way out of stuff. And when I say that, like, yes, there's power in your words, but it's like you have to really be careful in the words that you use and the thoughts that are influencing that.
Yeah.
Because you will talk yourself into stuff and you will talk yourself out of stuff.
Child, I know, because I do it every day. Mom, you know me, like you do
it every day.
Yeah, it's like my own like thoughts spiraling, and like I'll come and tell you, I'm like, well, Mama, if this happens, and you're like, and who told you that?
Right.
Like, who told you
and
that?
You
and
have like
me.
thousands, what is it, up to 60,000 negative thoughts a day. And what is it, 90%, 80% of them are false.
60,000 negative thoughts a day, or 60,000 thoughts a day?
Thoughts a day. Okay. And then, negative thoughts.
85%.
85% negative.
Oh,
and then a large majority of them are repetitive.
That's me. Yeah.
So that means it keeps coming
I
back
get it.
over and over and over. So the battle really happens up here.
1000%.
And so when you think about like that mental health piece that is connected to your emotional health, it's really valuing that.
Yeah.
And saying, you know what? I'm enough. That was the point I was trying to make, is sometimes, even though there's power in words, sometimes when you are really having mental situations going on, you think you're smart enough to not let it take over you. Like,
it'll affect
to
you in
not
ways
let
you
it-
can't even
in ways you can't
see or
even
tell,
imagine.
like-
And that is why there's a such thing as mental health. Like, it's like saying I broke my leg and no, I don't want to go to the doctor. I'm just going to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to do that. And you're not going to complain and say, I went to this hospital and I didn't like that doctor, so I'm not going to get a cast. You're going to get the cast because you're in pain.
Right.
But the emotional pain that we go through, we just push it down, we bottle it up, and we think we're going to be okay. And as a result, that toxicity starts to ooze out anyway.
Right.
And then by the time you do get help, guilty as charged. Like, you're in a bad way. You're there because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to literally lose my mind if I don't go and see somebody. So I think it's just super important that at the end of the day, everybody has a responsibility, and it's not selfish. You got to take care of yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on first.
I would say, how could you even give?
How can you give?
How could you
How can you
give?
give from an empty cup?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it feels weird because it's like, it took me years.
Oof.
I ended up in the hospital with chest pain because I was trying to be a superwoman.
Child, I remember all that.
Now, you remember all that? I didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought I had pleurisy, like an infection in my lungs. And the doctor looked at me. He was just like, so what do you do? Are you stressed? I'm like, not at all. And he started asking me all these questions like, how long do you work? What do you do for a living? And what time you go to bed? And he was like, that's a lot. You got to know how to shut it off.
Yeah.
Newly married, got these kids, got a child going to college. All these things I was taking on. A parent passed away, thinking I could still do it. So now I don't have a cape. It has been burned and the ashes are blown away. Like, I'm not trying to,
are blown away.
I ain't nobody's superwoman. Okay. Mm-hmm. I will do for people as I see the need to, but I have to tap into me and say, it's okay. Don't feel guilty.
It can't be to a
yourself.
deficit. It can't be to a deficit.
It cannot be to your deficit.
Like, that's next level.
Yeah,
like,
but anyway, this was good. I would love to see how that girl is doing.
Me too. Like I said, when I thought of everything and I watched her videos and I looked at her comments, I said, I'm actually proud of her, because a lot of people could never. Some people are still upset to this day that they're doing something that their parent wanted them to do and they didn't. And she got out before she got in. So literally, I'm like,
powerful.
I'm sorry. Good on her. Like, I see no issue.
But I do respect the fact that she said, I will still get a pharmaceutical job.
She didn't say I'm doing nothing. She didn't say, she didn't even say I'm pursuing social media only and I'm doing da-da-da. She said, I would still apply for pharmacy jobs here and there, but my future, I'm not gonna be a pharmacist. Like, my goal is not to be a pharmacist anymore.
Should she be expected to pay her parents back?
Tell us in the comments.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Y'all tell us in the comments.
Wait, but what do you feel though?
Should she pay her parents back? Like, as a parent, I wouldn't expect her to pay me back. I just would.
Okay.
I just, like, if I said I would pay for school, and the fact that she actually finished, great. Glad you finished. Like, glad you completed what you started. If y'all said, I'm going to pay you back for school because I didn't do what you wanted me to do, I'd be like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. And I was also going to say, overall, my principle, when I give, it's freely with no strings attached ever. So I don't even automatically know.
You're not even you're not holding on to it anyway.
I never even, if I'm giving something, I'm never once thinking about getting it back.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yes. And even though I'm not a parent, it's like, I'm not a parent, so I don't know how it feels to have the child and do all that stuff. But just a big principle for me is if I'm giving, it's freely and it's with no
I think that's a great
strings.
attitude to have. Like, even when somebody asks for money, like, if they say, can I borrow it? You're better off just kind of like, this is yours.
Yes, only give what you would be okay with never getting back.
Yeah, only give if you're okay.
Yes.
With never
So I'm
giving it
like,
back. I agree.
but in my head, I'm like, if I'm doing it, it's freely, and I don't have one extra thought. It's up to you.
So I don't know her
do.
name. Go be great. Do great things.
Yeah, but go ahead, girl. I'm proud of her.
Show your parents that it was actually worth it.
Yeah.
But
proud
this
of
has been
her.
great.
Yes, this is So Tell Me This Sundays.
And we will see you guys next Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.